Welcome to Watchman Newz, your daily alternative news channel that merges current news with biblical scripture. Stay informed. Imagine living in an evil world where most of the demonic activity goes unnoticed because it is hidden from the average citizen. For example, what if there were deep underground military bases that were designed to keep people trapped inside so they could not escape no matter how hard they tried? And what if those same underground bases were event centers for rich elite to go to and host hostile-like events, just like the movie, where they could go and do whatever they wanted to a human being without ever being prosecuted? Imagine being one of the helpless kidnapped victims or missing milk carton children, and no matter how hard you tried, how much you screamed, how much you begged, no one would ever hear your scream or see you alive ever again. What if during an SHTF situation, these same underground bunkers would serve as housing to the rich elite? And finally, what if these same facilities held E.T. Nephilim type creatures that were spoken of in Genesis and the book of Enoch? Well, these could be either speculation or reality. I'll choose the latter. Stay tuned. What are D.U.M.B.S? Deep underground military bases, otherwise known as D.U.M.B.S, are possible large bunkers or even extensive interconnected networks of bunkers hidden deep underground, mostly in the U.S. There is an extensive speculation about it on the net, but relatively little concrete evidence. Meet Phil Schneider, an engineer and whistleblower in the 90s that exposed these deep underground military bunker systems and the alien agenda. In November 1995, an ex-government structural engineer blew the whistle and exposed deep underground military bases and the alien agenda. He claimed to be one of only 3 personnel who survived the infamous alien-human war at Dulce and Los Alamos, where supposedly 66 government agents and workers lost their lives in August of 1979. On January 17, 1996, Phil was found dead in his apartment. Usually when you know too much and you blow whistles, this is exactly what happens. Phil Schneider's encounter with gray aliens. The lift descended slowly into the bowels of the earth, down 100 feet, then 200, then further. As it did, it carried Phil Schneider from the bright desert sunshine into the dark unknown. The year was 1979, and Schneider, a geologist and explosive expert, had been brought in as part of a team working for the U.S. government on the expansion of an underground military base near the small town of Dulce, New Mexico. Schneider's job was to descend into an exploratory shaft and evaluate the layers of rock below the surface in order to determine what types of explosives would be needed for further development. He was experienced with this type of thing, but on this day, Schneider felt uneasy. When his team had drilled the shaft, a strange black city air had come spewing out, which Schneider had never seen before. Now he was dressed in a protective suit, headed to the bottom of the shaft with a number of armed Green Berets beside him. What were they expecting, he wondered? Schneider himself was armed with a pistol he hoped he would have no reason to use. At the bottom of the lift, Schneider set off exploring through the seemingly natural caverns hidden at those depths. Suddenly, he turned a corner and came face to face with something unfathomable. There, only a few feet in front of him, were 3 extraordinary beings. They were humanoid, but gray and clammy, with oversized heads and large black eyes trained straight for Schneider. 2 were short, perhaps 4 feet tall, while the third stood over 7 feet. As the creatures began moving towards him, Schneider panicked and drew his pistol, firing quickly at the 2 smaller creatures and killing them. Just then, the large creature motioned its hand in a circle and out shot a blue beam of light. The beam hit Schneider, knocking him flat on his back, cutting open his stomach and blowing off 3 of his fingers in the process. The creature moved towards Schneider as if to finish him, when all of a sudden a team of Green Berets, stirred by the sound of gunshots, came barreling around the corner, weapons drawn. They were greeted by a group of smaller gray creatures running in from the other direction. Now here's a couple pictures of Phil Schneider that I found, and as you can see, his fingers are blown off or cut off, as he said, by those beams. Now, I mean, you could say he's lying, but there's a lot of proof to the pudding of what he's talking about. Without warning, death was all around Schneider. A vicious battle erupted as he lay in the dirt, unable to move. Just when he thought his own death was upon him, he felt the strong hand of a Green Beret dragging him out of the fight and throwing him onto the lift back to the surface, saving his life as the slaughter continued. The last thing Schneider saw as the lift began to rise was the Green Beret who had saved him, hit by a blue beam of light. And this was the story Phil Schneider told in 1995 to an audience at the annual Preparedness Expo in Orange County, California. When hearing it for the first time, the story might seem unbelievable until that moment when Schneider slowly raises his left hand to reveal 3 missing fingers, giving his words a visceral quality, battle scars. On another interview, he even showed his stomach and chest scars, and he doesn't have any medical history of operations of this sort. Could his story really be true? Could Schneider really have, in his own words, surprised a whole underground base of existing aliens and lived to tell the tale? Or maybe, just maybe, Schneider's story barely begins to scratch the surface. So on this picture, the dots are the underground military bases, and the lines are the tunnels that connect the underground military bases, supposedly. Now both Schneider and Stephen D. Kelly both speak on connected underground bases and tunnels that subvert the U.S. Constitution. Now I'm going to have to do another video on Stephen D. Kelly, but for now we're going to keep it on Phil Schneider. Now there is a video I found on YouTube about Phil Schneider that actually exposes the so-called D.U.M.B.S. I'll probably leave a link in the description box so you could just click on it and check out this video. Here's another photo of some construction workers building the tunnels within these underground D.U.M.B.S. And in the future, I'm thinking that they're gonna make some type of high-speed train system like how they got in China, but I think they're gonna make those underground. And finally, if you think deep underground military bases don't exist, you must be dumb. So all the evil and wicked things that these elites do behind closed doors, they will be brought to light because there is a judgment day coming. So don't even worry. Everything that's hidden will be known eventually, according to the Bible. In Luke chapter 8, verse 17, for nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad. So basically that speaks for itself. Matthew chapter 24, verse 36 and 42. What did Christ say? But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. Watch, therefore, for ye know not what hour the Most High doth come. Watchman Newz. Thank you for tuning in to Watchman Newz. Please stay tuned for more daily alternative news every day except the Holy Sabbath day, which is Saturday. And if this was informative, you can contribute to the cause and longevity of the channel on my Cash App, $702 Kenya, and other links in the description. Stay strong, Israel, and all praise to the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shalom.